Last time on Sailing Balachandra, we arrived in the U.S. Virgin Islands, which was a safe location for us during the coronavirus pandemic. We stayed in Charlotte Amalie, then sailed to Magens Bay, and then sailed on to Christmas Cove.
Hi, I'm Noelle.
And I'm Dan.
And we're Sailing Balachandra.
Balachandra.
We're from Halifax, Nova Scotia, and now we're in the Caribbean.
If you haven't subscribed to our channel, do so right now. Just go below the video, there's a button that says subscribe, press that button. Hey Noelle.
Yeah.
Of all our videos on YouTube, which video that we posted has the most views?
Currently, I think it is how much it costs to live on a boat.
That's right. That video has the most views of all of our videos, and I think what that means is you guys want to know what things cost. Well, we know that budget and cost is a big part of sailing, and it was a surprise to us to realize just how many people were interested in that. So
this week, we're going to cover how much it costs us to sail from Canada to the Caribbean.
So as you can see behind us, we're living in the Caribbean right now, and it's beautiful. We did sail here from Canada.
There's a lot of different aspects to our trip than what your trip or future trip, but we figured that this video will help give you an outline as to what those costs may entail for you.
So basically, this is a video covering the first 2 months of our trip, which is very different than what we did living back in the marina on our last cost video. And we thought, because it's so different, this is something we really need to share with you guys. So I hope you enjoy this video.
Pre-departure expenses.
We have a single sideband radio, and I had to get a ship stations license here in Canada in order to legally use the SSB radio. So that was $37. We've had boat insurance for years, and back in Nova Scotia I was only paying about $700 to keep the boat in a marina. But when you travel south, like for us to travel to the Bahamas, there was an add-on cost, and so our insurance to make this trip happen was $2,100.
We thought it'd be a good idea to get some travel insurance. We purchased 6 months worth of travel insurance, which came up to $1,305. It's always a good idea to pay for travel insurance, especially when traveling through the States.
Balachandra has some pretty large fuel tanks, and we have 4 diesel jerry cans that we fill up and keep on deck when we go on trips like this. And knowing that we had such a long distance to go, we wanted to make sure we brought all the fuel we could. We spent $200 on diesel. That was to fill our tank and to fill all 4 jerry cans before leaving Nova Scotia, Canada.
We had spent approximately $500 worth of food for the passage. That included snacks, lots of snacks, a lot of canned goods that you could just crack open and heat up over the stove. You know, easy grabbing passage food.
Lots of cookies, like your favorite cookies. All those things you want when you're on passage that you know they're not good for you, but you buy them anyway because you know that when you're out at sea and cold, you're gonna want that food that's totally bad for you. But
you want carbs.
Pop-Tarts. And just to get started, before we left Nova Scotia, we spent about $120 on booze. Just a few things to get us through the first bit of the trip. A couple boxes of wine. Boxed wine's really big in Canada. But we knew that the alcohol was way cheaper down in Florida, so we saved the big stock up for later. So the grand total for our pre-departure costs is $4,262.
Post-departure expenses.
The fuel that we bought in Nova Scotia got us through the Gulf of Maine, I would say, and after that we had to start buying fuel. We were purchasing fuel just about every time we anchored, if there was a marina there. Altogether, between Nova Scotia to Florida and then across the Gulf Stream to the Bahamas, we spent $902 on diesel fuel.
It was a lot of upwind sailing. We needed to run the engine in order to point. That time of year, you know, the weather and sea conditions were totally against us.
Oh, absolutely. We were nose into the wind like the entire way. Like every time you went sailing, you were beating and doing long, ridiculous tacks. It was rough.
And it was cold, so we were moving quickly. We ended up not spending that much time at marinas. When we stopped through places, we always tried to find the best spot to drop an anchor. When that wasn't possible, We would grab a mooring ball, which usually ranged between $20 and $30. And we've only actually stayed at a marina and tied up and plugged into shore power once. We spent approximately 4 days there. We spent $320 on marinas and $95 on moorings.
We made a pact when we first left Nova Scotia that we'd try to do this as cheap as possible, and that meant avoiding marinas unless absolutely necessary for fuel and water or whatnot. And most of that we stocked up using jerry cans just to avoid tying up and incurring any charges. As I mentioned, we have to typically stop at marinas or some dinghy docks in different places where there's fuel or water available, because we often had to stop and pick up fuel and water pretty much every town we went to. And yeah, there's a bit of a money grab. Like, just to tie up your dinghy and go ashore and get some necessities, they charge you. Altogether, between all of the times we stopped and had to pay these dinghy dock fees, that added up to roughly $100 for the entire trip from Nova Scotia down to the Bahamas.
The plus side of paying the dinghy fees is that I noticed that a lot of the marinas would allow you to use their facilities for the day.
Yeah, that was pretty nice.
That was really nice to get a hot shower in, and even sometimes they'd allow us to use their washer and dryer. So there was benefits in paying that fee for the day.
Yeah, if you're getting a dinghy dock, always ask what you can get for that money, because sometimes it's not just tying up. You may be able to have a shower or whatnot.
It's not always the case, but sometimes. We spent $620 on groceries for the 2 months of us traveling down the coast, and that's mostly, perishables, milk, eggs, bread, fruits, vegetables. And yeah, it added up quickly, and I couldn't believe how quickly we had been going through our snack cupboard as well. Like, you eat a lot when you're on passage.
Altogether for laundry, we spent about $45. We were trying to be conservative, but you do have to stop and you do have to do laundry when it's available. If you stop somewhere and you're going to be there long enough, the weather's bad, and you see that they have laundry available, it's probably a good idea to go in and get at least a couple loads done while you're there.
We only ever really had one load, maybe two. We were really careful. We had started our travels late October.
Last fall, every time we'd have a 3-day weather window, it would be always followed by a massive cold front that would come in, and we'd have like a 50-knot wind storm come through. And we had to really move quickly from area to area, and we didn't have a lot of time to stop and smell the flowers. Like when we came through the Long Island Sound or when we sailed into Manhattan, we didn't have much time to enjoy the scenery or see anything on shore.
It was cold, and it was just getting colder, and we were in such a hurry that we wanted to get out of the cold into Florida as quickly as possible. We only stopped for like a day or two, just waiting for sea conditions and weather to clear up.
Yeah, it was creepy. Like, we'd pull into marinas that were pretty much shut down, and there was no boats around. The staff had all gone for the season, and we had this sense of being incredibly late, like most of the time.
So late.
Yeah.
So late. We kept looking for boats with other jerry cans on their decks, and there was like no one to be found. Mm-hmm. So in total, we had spent $200 in entertainment. I'm sure you guys would like to put a little bit more in your budget.
Yeah, there's definitely cruisers who took their time coming down the coast and did all kinds of fun things, but that wasn't us. We literally just put it all off until we were in the Bahamas.
Right. Yeah, and the States alcohol was so cheap.
Oh, yeah.
So we held off to do a good provision for alcohol. We spent about $190, and we got a ton for $190. Like a lot of beer. Cheap beer, mind you, but we got a lot of beer. It lasts us all throughout the Bahamas, which is where you need it, is in the Bahamas. Alcohol prices are ridiculous.
Does that include all that beer we bought in Florida?
That includes the beer that we bought in Florida.
Wow, that just goes to show how cheap beer is in Florida.
24 cans of beer for $12 American.
I'm pretty sure the boat's water line changed when we brought all that beer on board.
We at least lost a knot or two in our speed.
Oh, for sure. If you go back and watch our videos, we had a crew member with us that crossed the Gulf of Maine with us from Nova Scotia over to Portland is where he flew out, and we had to cover his flight home. So the flight came to $420.
He was really looking forward for doing the crossing from Halifax straight to Bermuda, but our weather window did not show up
Yeah.
the way we had expected it to.
Yeah, and a lot of people take crew members with them, and sometimes they're paid crew, and sometimes they're flying them home from pretty exotic places, and those costs can get pretty high. So I think we got off pretty good with that one flight.
Our jib sail got kind of beat up along the way, and we got a tear as we arrived into the Bahamas. But you know what? It wasn't that bad. We went right into Georgetown, and we found a gentleman. He's working in his garage behind his house. We just showed up with the jib sail right on the spot. He patched it up and only charged us $80 American.
Yeah, he did a great job, and he used professional Dacron to do the patch, and I was really impressed. And that sail is working for us now and continues to work. It was a great patch.
Yeah. Our post-departure grand total cost is $2,972. Arrival costs.
When you get to the Bahamas, you need to buy a cruising permit. When we arrived, for a vessel of our length, the cruising permit cost us $300 American. As of now, it's increased. I was told it's now double. And if we were to go back to the Bahamas, it would now cost us $600. So keep that in mind if you're headed that way.
In the Bahamas, we felt that it'd be our best option to go with My Island Wi-Fi. It's a really neat device. It just works as though it's a Wi-Fi router in your home. But you can take your router with you. It's on a battery, and go to the beach. Go anywhere with your My Island Wi-Fi router, and you have Wi-Fi wherever you go.
Yeah, and it's full unlimited data. Unbelievable.
It costs us $75 a month and $50 deposit.
And so our total arrival costs, having arrived in the Bahamas, were $375.
Our overall cost from Canada to the Bahamas is $7,609.
That's a lot of money. It didn't look like we were spending that much money when we were doing it, but when you put it down on paper like this and you see that number, it's kind of a surprise.
I'm really shocked.
Yeah.
And that's not even including the money I had spent on my provisioning for the trip entire.
Yeah, provisioning is a whole nother thing.
And I'm not even going to tell you my number, because every time I do tell people my number, they're just like, okay, girl, you went a little crazy. But I'm glad I did it, because the coronavirus kicked us in the butt, and I'm not regretting my decisions now.
So that's it, guys. Now you know what it costs to sail from Canada to the Caribbean. So I hope this information that we just shared with you guys helps you in your journeys and your life on your boat, or maybe future plans. And if you like this video, don't forget to go back and check out our other videos.
And subscribe. Keep in touch, keep track of what we're doing, and there will be more costing videos to come.
Thanks for watching. If you like this video, please don't forget to subscribe. Just click that button right below the video. It says subscribe. Click it. And if you want, you can leave a like or a comment.
That's right. If you enjoyed what you've seen today, go back and check out some of our previous videos. There's tons there for you to check out.
See ya.